Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, and welcome to the October 14th, 2021 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer in Orlando, Florida, Shelley Overton. It's good to be here. It's good to talk to you and see you. Well, see a version of you. Anyway, we're going to go over the weekly astrology, and then we're going to talk a little bit about using astrology in business. And it's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast because I don't have the time to do a long one this week. But have you felt the energy of the Mercury retrograde going direct yet? I felt it today. I felt like things are going a little bit smoother, and situations that had been unresolved are starting to resolve. So I think that we're starting to get closer to that energy. It goes direct on Monday along with Jupiter. And so, yes, I do still have throat issues, and hopefully that will resolve when we get Uranus direct in January. Hope it won't go that long, but there's a strong possibility it will. Anyway, I hope you don't get too offended by that. I'm just moving things around on my screen here. So let's go over where the planets are. The planets are really mostly in air today. We've got 6 planets in air, 1 in earth, and let's see, 1 in water, and let's see, 1 in earth. Yeah, 1 in earth, 1 in water, and 1 in fire. So the air planets are Mercury retrograde until Monday at 11 degrees Libra, Mars in Libra at 19, joined with the Sun at 21 Libra. We've got the South Node at 2 degrees Sagittarius, opposite of the North Node at 2 degrees Gemini. We've got Mercury at 7 Sagittarius, and we've got Pluto at 24. Oh, no, it's not retrograde anymore. Pluto direct. Yay, bless. We've got Saturn at 6 Aquarius, right next to the Moon at 10 Aquarius, and Jupiter following retrograde at 22 Aquarius. Neptune is at 20 Pisces, and Uranus is at 13 Taurus retrograde. And that pretty much covers the main bodies of the zodiac, not going into any other asteroids today. But yeah, the Aquarian energy, we've got Jupiter, Moon, Saturn today. Moon, Saturn joined, Mercury, Mars, and Sun. A lot of Aquarius. I saw someone on Instagram who is talking, hang on, I'm gonna have to edit this. Someone on Instagram talking about the lights and the moon doing this starburst kind of effect last night and mentioned Mercury retrograde. So yeah, I think that there's anomalies, there's phenomena going on with light effects, because light is part of the energy of air signs and the electrical connection. So that can happen. What else do we have here? I'm just going to eyeball it, and then I'm going to go over. Mercury is in conjunct to Uranus today, and that just means that they're in 2 signs that ironically are both ruled by Venus, but don't particularly get along in drive and purpose. So Taurus is very much about the value of the individual and where we can make money, where we can grow something. And it's very rooted in, it's a fixed sign. So it sets down roots and wants to stay put, doesn't want to move, doesn't want to budge, takes its time. And air energy is always very quick, and Mercury is in Libra right now. And so the air energy with Venus connection, of course, they both are ruled by Venus. So Mercury answers to Venus in her air energy. And that energy is more electrical, mental. We think a lot more in the air signs. We're kind of in almost an obsessive, logical state of mind. And in the sign of Libra, it's about relationships and connecting, balance and diplomacy. So we've got Mercury in Libra retrograde going back over our relationships. Of course, love is ruled by Taurus, Venus, Taurus, and that is the tangible material world where we actually find a partner and join with that partner and become a couple. And Uranus is a detachment. So there is an energy of Mercury coming back, talking to us about someone from the past, and then joining in a negative aspect, or an aspect that awakens us to how things don't really mesh together, how they don't join properly. And we recognize that with the clarity of mind that Aquarius energy in Uranus brings. And in Taurus, of course, it's going to be the relationship, the coupling. I know someone who had a love interest come back in from the past this week, and went out with the Mercury shadow period just before the retrograde, and came back in. And the awareness that was brought to that situation was that he was not after a true relationship. He disappeared during the retrograde and blamed her for a situation that was on social media, a posting that she did not do. And then he came back in and was, just talking to her, but it was clear that he was more just interested in a physical relationship and not a romantic one. And by now she had already found a new person and was starting a new relationship. So the paths crossed, the information crossed, like I mentioned last week, with Mercury and Mars Sun crossing paths. And so that was an ending and a beginning all at the same time. Literally today, she cut loose the old guy who came back in, realized he wasn't going to be someone she wanted. And the new guy, the relationship, he's a very good guy. He's giving her what she's looking for, which is someone to really spend time with and enjoy a fun, loving relationship. So, that is what we see coming in. Mercury today, I do feel that there is some lightning, some energy that's associated with moving directive Mercury. So I think through the weekend, we're really going to start to see that loosening of energy with Jupiter and Aquarius, another air energy. And then Mercury going direct. So Jupiter and Mercury go direct on the same day. It's going to be significant because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, a sign that likes to call it out. It's the ruler of Sagittarius, which is the sign right after Scorpio. And so Pluto went direct last week, ruler of Scorpio in Capricorn. So that's government authority. And the reason I bring this up, because yes, I do discuss it a lot. The reason I bring it up today is because they're all working in tandem to here, we're going to release this energy. We're going to understand what's going on in the physical world, in the government, and the authority energy. And then we're going to move into more of a clarity and finding out what we found out during the retrograde period and present it. So this is the week that we are presenting the information. Mercury, this coming week, it's going to start towards the end of the weekend, because that's when we're really ramping up for the direct motion of the planets. And so it's going to really be, I would say, pay attention to the news this weekend, because the news are doing things, not paying as close of attention to the news. This is one of those weekends. The news is coming out. It's going to be a news bomb weekend and into the beginning of the week. So look for what was buried. Again, Friday night, that's when the Pandora Papers was released, because it was a Friday night. People weren't paying attention in the news cycle as much. And it's kind of the story, I think, that's going to really get the legs now that Mercury is going direct this coming week. So just pay real close attention to what's going on with the news and things that have come out from the news. Okay, we've got the Venus energy is in Sagittarius. So of course, she is a partier. She wants to get the party started, as they say. And at 7 degrees Sagittarius, it's like, yeah, we've been restricted for so long. And really in the deep energy of Venus in Scorpio recently. So now she wants to let loose, get going, and have at it, get the party started and go somewhere. So we've got Mars in Libra, which is in an okay energy along with Venus. Mars and Venus are working together this weekend, but Mercury is the only question. If you're going to be traveling, Mercury can throw a little wrench in that situation. Jupiter squaring Uranus right now. Not an exact square, but within 9 degrees. So that's kind of the outer limits of an actual square. And then Moon is squaring Uranus today, moving into a sextile as she goes into the energy of Pisces. So Pisces, Uranus are really going to help us figure out what's going on in deeper realms. Probably there are some flooding issues or water issues associated with property. And as we see the moon join up with Neptune in the coming days, so probably going to be closer to, what day does the moon go into to Pisces? Friday night at 10:22 p.m. Eastern, the moon goes into Pisces. So this weekend is going to be more of a sentimental, emotional time, but it is also a time of release and letting go. It can be endings of loved ones or people close to us, or transition. Now, keep in mind that Neptune is a retirement planet as well. So it means that we are done, we're ready to move on. And the moon joining up with that is going to say, hey, let's get on to the next story and wrap up this old emotional story. So it can be a very sentimental weekend, and just pay attention and get ready for that. I'm going to go through my planner and talk a little bit about what's going on with the week ahead. Today is Thursday. It's moon in Aquarius. We've got some sextiles and some conjunctions, and ending the day with a square to Uranus in Taurus. And that's in the evening, like around 4:52 p.m. So it's going to be about love, growth, money. It's a positive energy for most of the day. Could be an ending energy with kind of a downward cycle for the markets, or maybe a blip of information coming out that we didn't expect. I know a lot of the companies report what's going on, and are presenting their outlook for the company. So there could be something coming out later in the day. Thursday. Friday, again, still Aquarius, trine with Jupiter and the sun in Libra, so an air trine. That can be, I actually like air trines for some reason. They just strike me as really clearing the air, clearing the energy. That being said, we can also see weather events with wind. I know California had a couple days ago had extremely windy weather in LA. And so that is the energy of all the Aquarius Aquarius and Libra, so air energy. It's very much windy energy. And the North Node is in Gemini, which kind of finishes out that trine in air. Okay, we've got this is Friday the 15th. Difficult for stability of relationships and can change on a dime. Money or lack of money may be a trigger point with Uranus in Taurus. Mercury is getting more positive on Saturday. There's a balance, but it's not aligned with the story. So there's more emo, again, Pisces energy coming in. Travel for pleasure is good and fruitful. So Sunday, we have Jupiter direct in the Pacific time zones at 10:30 p.m. Self is at odds with authority. There is a strong need for freedom, especially with Jupiter approaching direct over the weekend and into the early week. There's an end of restriction with Aquarius in the Aquarius house. And then on Monday, Jupiter direct at 1:30 a.m. Eastern. The moon enters Aries at 6:04 a.m. and the Eastern time zone, 3:04 a.m. Pacific. And then Mercury goes direct at 11:17 a.m. with 8:17 a.m. Pacific, and then followed right away by a trine between the moon and sextile between the moon in Aries and Saturn in Aquarius. So really a huge breaking free forward motion and momentum coming on Monday. We are not waiting around. I've got chills all over on this energy. And then Mars trines Jupiter right afterwards at 10:36 p.m. in the day. And we've got the moon in Aries in a Chiron conjunction. So that can be emergencies. It can be a masculine energy is feeling wounded and going to express that wounding. So I do think that evening time is a little bit more stressful. We might have some emergencies appear later in the evening, but it's lighter energy, it's active, it's busy. Tuesday coming in on the 19th, moves and travel, spiritual growth, changing of teams. I was thinking about this week about the fire energy, actually all of the elements and how they affect us. My face is tingling. This is really strange energy. My nose is kind of, it's bothered but not itchy. It's just kind of bothered. And then my face is tingling. So definitely we've got some very strong electrical energy. Uranus, all of the Libra energy, and then Mercury and Saturn, Jupiter and Aquarius with the moon today. So much electrical energy presenting, which means heightened nervous system. We may be more jittery. We may have harder time sleeping. We are approaching this full moon energy next week in Aries, but of course, with the moon in Aquarius for the next day, it's going to be an increasing full moon energy as we go towards next week, waxing moon. And so just know that you could get lightheaded. You know, it's heady energy. This week coming up is full of intense awareness. But if we're not processing the electrical energy coming through and the mental energy coming through, we're going to be awake at night. We're going to be jittery. Caffeine could have a bigger punch. And so just be aware of that. But what I did want to say was the energy of the fire planets and fire signs. I wanted to share this with you because I noticed a news story yesterday or the day before about a coach basically quitting a team that he was on due to bigotry, expression of bigotry and expression of misogyny. So I don't remember who he is, and I'm actually quite glad because I don't want to promote anything about him or the team that he was on. But it was a news story that came out, and that also is a connection to the Mars energy with the sun and the planets about Libra. Libra energy is wanting to balance things out and bring in a feminine energy. But Aries is the athlete, and Leo, so all the fire signs are associated with activity. Because Aries is the initiating energy of the fire signs, it is athleticism and athletes in a category. Leo is the betters and the owners of the teams. They're the ones that take the risk. They're the ones that are the leaders. So it is the owners, the managers of the team. And then Sagittarius is the team itself and also the traveling when you're in, say, a professional team and you have to travel city to city to do the games. That is the energy of Sagittarius. I wanted to share that because I don't think I really add those categories when I talk about the signs or the planets, but they are important. You know, Mars ergo would rule athletes, and the sun would rule the team and the owner, and then Sagittarius would rule being on the road, the team itself. The team owner, not the team and the owner. The team owner and the people who bet, the people who are engaged, the fans are Leo. So yeah. Let's see, the moon or Tuesday. Tuesday's travel, spiritual growth, changes in sports. That's already coming in, like I said. The moon full on Wednesday in Aries at 27 degrees. This is an ending. It is associated with men. It's associated with athletes. And because it's the moon, it is a home energy. It can be fire. It can be emergency. So just be careful. Careful of fire and careful of activity. It can be a heightened, I don't like to say it, but heightened aggressive nature that can result in abuse. So just know that that is kind of an abusive moon coming in the middle of the week. We may hear about more acting out. It is the ruling sign of guns and war, aggression, and hypermasculinity. So I want to touch on that too. Just be aware that these times we are seeing a lot of energies coming out to be dealt with. So it can increase racism or the awareness of racism or the expression of racism. And so it can also increase, as we saw last year and in 2019, a push to get a handle on it, to get a grip and really have that as a storyline. Okay, Thursday is also moon in Taurus. And there's a little bit more stress on Thursday of next week. We've got a square to Saturn, and in conjunct to the Mercury energy, a conjunction to Uranus and Taurus, and in conjunct to Venus and Sagittarius, which is action, travel, desire to travel, but the home life and the need for money may supersede the travel. And then Mars in Libra squaring the Pluto energy in Capricorn. So Mars, Capricorn, that's going to be a big battle. Next week's going to be a political battle. It's going to be a battle between what's going on in the structure and how we are taking action in a cooperative sense. It is the bipartisan energy as long as Mars is in Libra. Let's see. We only have a couple minutes, and it's probably fine to talk about Facebook. I will post these charts, the now chart, the Facebook founding chart, and the Facebook IPO chart. Well, this is a little bit longer reading Facebook that I wanted to do than I will have time to do. But calling up the founding of Facebook. So the founding was February 4th, 2004. I did a sunrise chart, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Of course, Facebook was also initially Face Mash, I think. And that was 2003, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't have the time today. And then, so the founding happened under Mercury in 24 degrees of Capricorn, conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees of Capricorn. So out of the gate, we see that this is going to be an energy of the physicality of the structure of that particular entity. So it is how the business is run, what the rooting in within society looks like. I can tell you with Pluto hitting those degrees, of course, Pluto today, 24 degrees directly on the 24, I think it's 24. I don't think it's 26. I'm pretty sure it's 24. I can't really see it tight. So it's right there next to Pluto. Pluto started out in this chart of the founding of Facebook at 21 of Sagittarius. So of course there was this mass attraction to it as a social energy, getting the people and the fun of it. It did change when Pluto went in to Capricorn in 2007. Now, that being said, there was an IPO, and the IPO was 2012. So there was a shift that came in, physical shift, from being just a startup to being an actual entity on the stock market. And that happened in 2012. So there is a shift associated with Facebook. I did the sunrise for the founding, which was an Aquarius rising at 15. Not surprising. Of course, now we have so many hits to the founding of this company. Pluto on the Chiron, Mercury in Capricorn, Saturn at 4 degrees in the sky right now, or 10, or I mean 6 or 4. I can't really tell the difference on this chart. Moon at 10 degrees today. And then, of course, last week we had the whole review of Facebook in Congress and the government. So Saturn on the Neptune, Moon on the Neptune this week, and Jupiter is right between the Sun at 15 degrees because it was a sunrise chart. Sun at 15 degrees Aquarius, Neptune at 13 degrees Aquarius on this chart, and a 2-degree Pisces Uranus. So Uranus is about the collective emotional connection to the company in the first house. Are we going to be changing our integration and interaction? Absolutely. Pluto in Sagittarius says the psyche of this company. It's in the house of career and life purpose. So it is about change, and it's about action being taken and growth, spiritual growth of the people. Neptune currently is coming up on the Venus in the second house of the founding chart. Jupiter is just past the Sun and going to be right on the Uranus in the first house. There will be a shift. Jupiter going from Aquarius of the change into the material shift of Pisces in this chart. That rules the house of the physicality of it and how it does business in the physical world. Neptune is right on the cusp, about to go into the second house on the founding chart and hitting Venus. So there is a more creative side, and I would say definitely multiple iterations, because that's what Pisces does. It tries to be all things to all people. Probably some of that going on with this. And then Jupiter in Aquarius wanting to make the change, wanting to basically out the information about the company. So it's going to be coming out. And then the IPO energy has Venus retrograde, just retrograde in Gemini. So again, every time we get an air energy or Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules that Gemini that Venus is in on the IPO chart, it's going to take a hit. It's going to have an event. It's got a Saturn in Libra on the IPO at 23, Saturn in Libra. Saturn's in Aquarius. We've got, 17 degrees before Saturn actually trines the natal Saturn of the IPO. That's a growth energy, but it's also a shift because it's air. And that's going to make I mean, I've told you, trines are something you don't necessarily want to have happen. So, there has been talk of breaking up Facebook because of the monopoly energy of it. Wouldn't surprise me if that happens within the next couple of years. When Saturn gets to that 23 degrees of Aquarius, you're going to see a definite shift going on with this company. Could happen earlier because we're not quite there with Saturn on Neptune, and that is the conjunction with the sun. So there's Saturn on the Neptune Sun conjunction, the idealized view of what the company can do in the marketplace. It is an electronic company. It's an online company. So Saturn's saying, what are you going to do? You're going to be under restriction. You're going to be under government oversight when Saturn hits that Neptune Sun conjunction at the rising sign of the founding. It's also Uranus hitting the Jupiter in the collective mindset of the chart of the IPO. So that's going to make a shift also around the value of the company. Jupiter, Sun, Mercury conjunct in the IPO. It is a big financial portfolio company, but Uranus wants to shake it up. Uranus says, yeah, but we want independence. So there's going to be a financially independent energy hitting that desire. Like you want to be free. You want to be part of the collective. The collective is actually going to make the choice with what happens to this company. It's amazing. Uranus at the midheaven in Aries, the underhanded or self-interested dealings are going to be out in the public eye whenever Mars is affected and when Aries gets planets transiting in this company. So it's really interesting. The Taurus energy of the IPO is very strong. So it's a feminine. I mean, Pluto in Capricorn, feminine, Neptune in Pisces, feminine, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Sun, all feminine. It just has Venus, a feminine sign, and a masculine energy, Gemini, in the IPO chart. It has Saturn in Libra, which is a feminine ruled sign, but a masculine sign of the zodiac. Go figure that out. Mars in Virgo, feminine. So the IPO is really what's, I think, driving the engine of the future for this company. Anyway, that being said, I know it's a rather abrupt ending, but it is just after noon. I've got to get going. And I thank you for coming in and spending some time with me today on this podcast. I hope you get something out of it and share it if you do. Subscribe and like below. And if you're listening on SoundCloud or any other means, thank you. Please share the podcast on Facebook. And, it is kind of the go-to site. Instagram is where I really hang out. Go visit me there at Angelic Zodiac, and we'll see you later. See you next week. Bye. Take care. But Mars and Mars.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Music provided on show-by-show basis will be credited within the body of the show. For more info on my art, go to shelleyoverton.com. That's SHELLEYOVERTON.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.